I know you're an article about the youth, the 12 rookies, and Scott, I think they brought in they brought in young guys that have the potential. They haven't proven it, but they have the potential to be playmakers, which if you look back at that roster last year, they were lacking, severely lacking.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. What I think is interesting about keeping 12 is you're always going to keep the six, actually it's seven in the draft class if you want to include Judkins. He's not part of this 12. So those guys are always going to be kept. It's keeping six undrafted guys. Now, Isaiah Bond is a little bit of a different, um, he doesn't quite fit because he would have been drafted if not for the legal stuff. So even if you remove him, that's still five undrafted guys. And I get your point. Like Bond has playmaking ability, Sampson, Fannin Jr., Gage Florverdan. We saw that in the preseason. But I just think from a bigger picture standpoint, it speaks to this is a team or a roster in transition. And we saw it in a million different ways over the offseason, right? They didn't spend a ton of money in free agency. The biggest signings, were across the defensive line, and those weren't even that biggest signings. They draft two quarterbacks, but they wait to draft them. Going with Joe Flacco, all those things, I think, point to, okay, this is a roster in transition. I just thought keeping 12 rookies on the initial 53 was just a really obvious sign of that.
Yeah, absolutely fair. The one thing is, if the defense can be what we think it might be, they'll still have a chance to win a number of games. A defense that dominates at the line of scrimmage gives you a lot of opportunity to win a football game.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. My only real concern on defense is the depth at corner. And, we had the Martin Emerson Jr. injury. But otherwise, I really like where this defense is. I think it's loaded up front. And then you got to be able to run the ball and not turn it over on offense. So we're not making up some new recipe for or blueprint for success. That's just what the Browns need to do, especially if you don't think the passing attack is going to be high powered. And I know Joe Flacco can still throw the ball, but we don't know about his targets at receiver outside of Jerry Jeudy. Fannon's still a rookie, right? Like, I feel like that's a big question mark. But if you play great defense, good special teams, run the ball and don't turn it over, you can win some games.
Yeah, and look no further than last year. They turned the ball over so much that they got, that was the undoing. They haven't been able to not turn the ball over in 2 years, so I get it.